Every effect weed has on you and your brain explained. No need to dilly-dally here. Let's start with the most commonly reported effect and probably the reason half of you clicked this video. Creativity. It's Friday night, you just got home, grabbed some exotic lettuce, rolled a doobie, sparked it up, and after the mandatory coughing session, something interesting happens. Your perception shifts, and it feels like your brain just opened the floodgates and let every thought through, whether it's brilliant, questionable, or something that absolutely should have stayed in the drafts. And this isn't magic, it's actually pretty simple. Your sober brain has a built-in filter. Its full-time job is to say things like, "This idea is stupid, that won't work, people will judge this. Stay on track, we're not doing that." THC weakens the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for judgment, self-criticism, and control. So instead of instantly killing ideas, your brain just lets them exist a little longer. And that matters because creativity is mostly about connecting unrelated ideas. THC increases communication between brain regions that don't normally talk to each other, which is why you suddenly start making connections that feel genius in the moment and occasionally still are the next day. Sober thinking is efficient and goal-oriented. High thinking is conceptual and abstract. That's also why drawing, music, and games can suddenly feel incredible while you're high, while things like spreadsheets and math feel borderline impossible. Your brain has basically switched modes. Instead of, let's get this done as efficiently as possible, it's now on, what even is a spreadsheet but a pile of ideas presented in the form of numbers. Which is great if you're making art, not so great if your boss needs an Excel file by Monday. But after about 15 to 30 minutes of entering the most creative and motivated flow state of the century, you'll probably start feeling something else. Laziness. Or more accurately, loss of motivation. Right after you come up with an idea so incredible yet so simple, it's genuinely confusing how no one has ever thought of it before. Naturally, you try to figure out how to bring this idea into fruition, and then that motivation fades. The confidence disappears, the urgency evaporates, and what you're left with is one overwhelming desire to sit down, relax, turn on your favorite show, and consume entertainment like it's a full-time job. Simply put, this happens because of the grass's connection to your brain's dopamine, the chemical responsible for motivation, not pleasure. Dopamine isn't about enjoying things, it's about wanting to do things. It's the reason you start projects, chase goals, get up and actually execute the genius idea you just had. THC gives you a short dopamine spike at first, which is why you feel motivated, creative, and ready to conquer the world. But then it suppresses dopamine signaling, meaning your brain goes from, I should do something with this idea, to, or I could sit down and watch Stranger Things. Your brain basically decides the reward has already been collected, no effort required. From an evolutionary standpoint, THC has tricked your brain into thinking, mission accomplished, we're safe, no need to grind. Which it likes to follow up with hunger or the munchies. But before you reach for the closest bag of candy you can find, I'd recommend double checking that you don't accidentally grab your free bag of 5's Quick Hits 15mg gummies. Unless, of course, you want to extend your fade by another 4 to 6 hours in a consistent, clean way without bothering your lungs, kicking in about 15 minutes. Wait, actually, yeah, that sounds pretty good. Right now, 5 is offering everyone watching this video a chance to try their new Quick Hits fast-acting 15mg gummies for free. They solve one of the biggest problems people usually have with gummies, the long come up and inconsistent dosing. With Quick Hits, you get the benefits of digesting your za while keeping a lot of the convenience you're used to from blazing. To get your free pack, all you have to do is be 21 or older, head to the pinned comment, pay for shipping, and get ready to enhance your fade. After you've cozied up your brilliant idea already forgotten, unless you wrote it down, and entered a state where the TV is now doing the thinking for you, something else starts cooking. Your good old friend THC has one more gift. It activates receptors in the hypothalamus, the part of your brain that decides whether you're hungry, full, or I could eat again just to be sure. It increases a hunger hormone called ghrelin, which is why suddenly you're not just hungry, you're interested in food. At the same time, THC boosts dopamine release in response to eating. So once your brain has officially canceled productivity for the evening, it starts looking for the next easiest source of reward. And food is an instinctual, evolutionary pleasure, something humans have been hardwired to enjoy since the dawn of time. THC also enhances smell and taste, which is why the most average snack you own suddenly feels like a 5-star experience. From your brain's perspective, this is perfect. Work is done, frets are gone, energy storage sounds like a great idea. Which is why you could end up destroying your pantry like you're preparing for winter, despite having eaten like an hour ago. But some people don't even get the munchies, especially more experienced users. Tolerance changes things. However, there's one effect that's almost guaranteed. Introspection. Weed increases inward focused thinking by shifting attention away from the outside world and toward your internal thoughts. So instead of thinking about what's happening around you, your brain starts replaying past conversations, old decisions, relationships, that one thing you said 3 years ago that was maybe slightly awkward. THC reduces mental noise, which can make thoughts feel cleaner and more emotionally vivid. That's why introspection while high can feel insightful, therapeutic, borderline philosophical. You start connecting patterns in your own behavior, questioning habits, and occasionally coming to conclusions that feel like life-changing revelations. Sometimes they are, sometimes they absolutely are not. And this is where weed becomes a mirror. If you're in a good headspace, introspection can lead to self-understanding, emotional processing, creative or personal breakthroughs. But if you're already anxious or stressed, the same mechanism can spiral into overthinking. Because, well, when your brain turns inward with no distractions, it doesn't just analyze the good stuff. But now we're entering the inconsistent parts. The fix that change depending on the person, their tolerance, and the situation they're in. Everything up until now has been pretty run-of-the-mill. Effects you'll almost feel every time, at least a little. These next ones, not guaranteed. Starting with short-term memory loss. This one happens because THC intervenes with the hippocampus, the part of your brain responsible for forming and temporarily storing new memories. Your brain is still receiving information, you're still thinking, understanding, and reacting normally. It just becomes worse at encoding those moments into short-term memory. So you can follow a conversation, watch a movie, or have a deep thought, but the moment passes without being properly saved. That's why you'll often remember the vibe of what happened, but not the details. Long-term memory remains mostly unaffected. Your brain just forgets to press save on the last few minutes. Anxiety and paranoia. This effect mainly comes from THC increasing activity in the amygdala, the brain's threat and emotion processing center. THC heightens awareness of thoughts, sensations, and surroundings. At lower doses or in a comfortable setting, that can feel relaxing or grounding, but at higher doses or with low tolerance, the same heightened awareness turns inward. Normal bodily sensations get misinterpreted. A faster heart rate feels alarming. Background noises feel significant. Thoughts loop because the brain keeps flagging them as important. Nothing new is being created. Your brain is just assigning too much meaning to normal signals. Time distortion. Time distortion happens because THC disrupts communication between the prefrontal cortex and the basal ganglia, which together help track time, predict outcomes, and sequence events. When this system is altered, your brain stops measuring time by progress or goals. Instead, it measures time by experience, which is why waiting feels longer, boredom stretches time, and engaging moments disappear quickly. This effect becomes much stronger when you're doing nothing because your brain has no external reference points to anchor time. Focus, hyper-focus, or distraction. THC reduces top-down control from the prefrontal cortex, which normally helps you manage attention and suppress distractions. For highly stimulating tasks, games, music, drawing, this narrowing of attention creates deep immersion. Everything else fades away. For boring, complex, or effort-heavy tasks, though, that same narrowing becomes a problem. Your brain doesn't want to allocate effort unless the reward is immediate. Weed doesn't improve focus, it selects what you focus on. Social effects. THC lowers social self-consciousness by reducing activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that monitors behavior and self-presentation. What happens next, though, depends on personality. If you're naturally expressive, you may talk more and open up emotionally. If you're more introspective, you may become quieter and more observant. The filter is lowered, but THC doesn't decide what comes through it. Sleep effects. THC can make falling asleep easier. However, with frequent use, it suppresses REM sleep, the stage associated with dreaming and emotional processing. That's why regular users often report fewer dreams. When THC use stops, though, REM sleep rebounds, which is why dreams suddenly return, often intensely. This is also why if you're smoking frequently, you might feel slightly tired all the time, like you could take a nap at any moment. Your body is essentially signaling, hey, we should probably actually rest for a bit. THC makes falling asleep easier, but with heavy or frequent use, it can interfere with sleep quality. So you're resting, but not always fully recovering.